Yeah.
Okay. So, um, but when handling a client's dog, you'll never greet a stranger dog for sure on leash, and even within the facility, dogs won't greet either. Okay. Reason is dogs meeting face to face is very unnatural. Let's swap. You here, you there. So I'll start over. Right. So, when taking dogs out, we're only going to use this stretch here. All that's fine. Okay, but we're going to stay away from like the front of people's yards here, because that's the property. But also to avoid any of these dogs behind fences. As you guys are developing your skills, once you guys develop your skills, you can walk through. You just won't let the dogs use the bathroom on the grass. Okay, just on our area here. When walking the dogs, you guys will not allow them to socialize with the dog in passing. Even if the dog is completely friendly and their dog is completely friendly, we're not greeting anybody. If they ask, or if they say my dog is friendly, tell them this isn't our dog, this is a client's dog. We don't socialize, and let them go. Okay. If you see the person like, oh, but my dog's friendly, and they'll just, I swear to God, they'll just keep going, but they're friendly, right? And like, no, this is a client's dog. We don't want to greet your dog. Get your dog away. Like, you can be firm. Okay. They might get offended or whatever. Doesn't matter. Our job is to keep, of course, our client's dog safe. And I've seen plenty of times where the person was like, oh, but my dog's friendly. And then in that moment happened to attack the other dog. I've legit seen this happen, right? So I just go, no, not going to do it. A big reason is meeting face to face is very unnatural to dogs. You and I as humans, when we meet people, hi, how are you? We shake hands, right? These guys do not. When dogs greet face to face, it's very confrontational. It creates tension. So if they're walking this way and it's the person and their dog, and then your dog and then you, the two dogs are walking straight towards each other, that's very threatening. Okay, so it's like if you're walking down the street and on the sidewalk, you see someone looking at you, somebody you don't know, and they're looking at you and they keep walking towards you like this, it gets more and more uncomfortable. And it makes, everybody has a different response. You might like look around like you're confused, you might just step out their way, you might confront them and say, what's your problem? Like everybody responds differently, right? So for dogs, because they're on a leash, we're eliminating, we have 4 responses. We have flight, avoidance, submission. So when we have a dog on a leash like this, we're removing flight response. The dog cannot run away. So that the dog either can fight, submit, or try to avoid the situation, right? If the dog cannot avoid the situation, then all that's left is fight or submission. And more often than not, the dog's gonna try to fight. Because in their world, it's kill or be killed, right? That's the instinctual world. So if they're not proactive about like, you know what, I'm perceiving this as threat, I'm not going to give you the opportunity to kill me, because in my genetics is built-in survival. I have to survive, I have to have offspring to continue my genetic line. That's what they're driven by. So if they see another dog, they perceive threat, they're going to jump straight to fight mode, okay? So I don't care if the dog is friendly or not. We always will step aside and address the person if we need to, tell them, no, we're not going to socialize, let them pass, and then we'll continue on our way. Okay? Does this make sense so far? Right? So, just rule of thumb, never let the dog that you're handling and another dog socialize. Okay? We handle all that stuff inside, and unless we're actively doing a training session, which I will be a part of, or one of the head trainers will be a part of, we're not socializing. Okay? Questions?
Yeah, kind of a technical one. If you're, like, even if I have my dog in a heel, wouldn't the heel override the need to feel threatened? Like, because he's healing, shouldn't he understand that there's no need to give regard to the threat?
Right, but but there's a variable here.
Yeah.
The variable is that person and their dog, right? So if Obi is reactive and Obi is in a heel and he's behaving himself,
Yeah.
as we're walking, we only have 6 to 8 feet of space here.
Yeah.
Right? As that gap begins to close, yes, Obi's expected to behave. Yes, Obi will behave. Yes, we'll make him behave. Right?
Yeah.
But what if that person isn't controlling their dog like you're controlling Obi? That's the variable.
Yeah.
Right? So because we're trying to avoid risk or exposure to risk, we're taking the extra precaution of stepping aside.
Yeah.
Because we can't account for that person. I just heard the other day somebody was walking their dog, right? Trading gear on, trading mode, and the other person's dog got out the collar.
Okay.
Right? So if we're stepped aside and that person can't control their dog, and all of a sudden it slips out the collar, and they're 20 feet away, now I'm at a 20-foot advantage.
Okay.
Right? As opposed to keeping walking. If I see it happening already and I step aside and the dog gets off the leash over there, I now have 20 feet to get my situation under control or to get that situation under control. Right? But if we just try to press it and we keep walking and the dog is out of the collar 5 feet away from us, our exposure to risk is very great. Right? So even though, and I've learned this the hard way, I have a high expectation for my dogs, and I know the methods are very effective, and my ego is up to here, right? If you try to go well, I can control this, right? And you let your ego get ahead of you, and shit goes south, who ends up paying for it are the dogs, that they get in the fight, and then also the business, and then our reputation, right? So all of these extra precautions are to keep the dog safe and also to keep you guys out of trouble, because you can't account for life, right? So as long as you're constant and consistent in your responses, it takes away a lot of the variables that can happen that you just can't be prepared for. Okay? Like stuff like that happens. Dogs get out of collars, dogs pull leashes out their owner's hands, owners are on their phone and they let the flexi leash go 20 feet. There's a lot of stuff.
So then, the standing aside rule applies in every case whenever someone's walking by, or only when you can perceive that they don't have as much control over their dog?
Almost always just step aside. Okay? Because no one, I should say no one, unless they've had training or are very responsible, almost no one controls their dog. I've walked by hundreds and thousands of people like this, and as I'm walking by, I'll even give space, and they'll stop and let their dogs sniff my dogs as I'm actively walking around. So if you see someone walking around, that tells you oh, they're clearly trying to avoid. Common sense will tell you I'm going to bring my dog in. Not everybody has common sense.
Yeah. So in that case, if I see somebody doing that, then it should be fine. As long as I do likewise, give space as they're giving me space, then it should be fine. There should be no need to stand aside.
And you'll see it.
Yeah.
Because from a distance, people naturally, if they want to control, start to give space. Okay? And you'll see them turning or crossing the street or what have you. That's fine. We just keep going. Okay? If the situation looks bad, right? Then we cross the street. Okay? If it's a very large reactive dog, then we're crossing the street, and then we continue off that way.
What if the dog's coming at us, our dog's really fine? What do we screw up?
Their dog
is
coming after you?
Yeah, coming at us.
Charging?
Off-leash or on-leash?
Off-leash.
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 Okay. So, if you're charged by a dog off-leash, your first instinct is going to be to run away. You do not want to run away. As soon as you do that and you turn your back and you show weakness, the dog knows and you're now a target. And it's going to be very hard to get the dog to disengage. Okay? So, if I am charged or approached by an off-leash dog that's not with an owner, okay, so there'll be different instances. If they're by themselves, it's a stray dog, and they come up running and they bark at you, all you need to do is go, hey! Okay? If you move forward and shout like that, you'll catch them off guard 99% of the time. Okay? Because they're not expecting you to counter them. And since they're by themselves, and I've had as many as 4 dogs come after me, since they're by themselves, they're actually more vulnerable. Okay, they're not going to want to continue a confrontation because 80% of dogs are followers, 20% are leaders. Okay, and an even smaller percentage are actually confident enough to be aggressive to counter the threat. Right. So if the dog, like I see a German Shepherd coming around the corner and sees me and starts barking and moving towards me, I'm right back, hey, right, very firm, and
from the distance you are at, or only as the proximity?
At the moment that dog acknowledges you, whether it's a half a block away, 10 feet away, to the end of the block, you want to right then counter them at that moment, because it's so quick after they've triggered that a lot of times they get spooked and they turn right around. But if you ignore it and allow them to come to you, not that you can't disengage them later on, but the longer you let them start to confront you and approach you, the more confident they become, because they're going, you're delaying, so you don't want to fight me. That's how they start thinking. They get bigger and bigger and bigger. They get more confident. Oh, I'm getting closer. Like I'm gonna bully you, right? So the moment they come at you, if you counter them right there, they're like, shit, don't want to mess with that person, right? Now, if a lot of times they'll stop, right, and they might come around, you want to keep the front of your body always facing that dog. Okay, so if I have Obi and I'm walking and I see an off-leash dog and I approach them, or they approach me and I go, hey, I back them off and they'll stop, but I have to go that way, right? Because you can't really turn your back here, but if you have to go that way, you would continue moving forward, and chances are that dog's going to start moving back, because as you move in, remember the sidewalk I told you about, when you're walking, if someone's looking at you and they're doing this, it's the same situation, but with that dog, right? So now I'm moving towards and I'm watching that dog, you should start to see them move back or start to give space, right? So if they start to move off as I'm walking by, I'll be sure to turn and just make sure I keep that forward body language. If I need to, I'll walk backwards like this until I see they're a safe distance away, and then I can go back to walking in this direction, because I'm far enough away from the threat that they're not going to want to pursue.
And while it's important to face them, like while I should be facing them, actively facing them, I should never stare them down, right? Like actively lock eyes or whatever.
No, you can look at them.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, the eye contact is threat.
Yeah.
Right? So yes, you can keep eye contact, and you want to keep the eye contact because you're letting them know, I see you.
Yeah.
Don't try anything, right? Because this is instinctual.
Okay.
Muggers or people that mug people mug those that are not aware of their surroundings or show weakness. So if you walk out of a train station and you're on your phone like this, right? Or if you walk out of a train station, you're looking around and you're actively acknowledging every person that you see, who do you think they're going to want to mug? The person on their phone. They're distracted. They're not aware. Because when they take their phone or they steal whatever they have, and the police come and they say, well, what did the person look like? I wasn't paying attention, right? But the person who's actively looking, they're not going to want to try or attempt to mug them because that person can identify them, right? They're aware. So same thing for that dog. This is instinctual. That's got nothing to do with intelligence. Is when I'm keeping eye contact, I'm letting that dog know I see you. So the moment you try something, I'm going to come right back at you.
Okay.
Right? That keeps the dog at bay. And then once you're in a safe enough distance, which is approximately about 20 to 30 feet away, then I can go back to this and then moving, and I'll just check. And if I see that dog trying to follow, I'll turn around, hey, push him back, and you confront him again. And you say, keep that distance. You don't want to get closer to me because I'm a threat.
Okay.
Right? They back off. I can move back, turn, keep walking. Look, they're going off the other way. We're good. Threat is gone.
Okay, and there will not be many cases in which the eye contact will trigger a fight response, and if it does, what would happen then? Okay.
That's bullshit.
Okay, and this methodology wouldn't work because we were talking the other day about how to address a client's dog. If they're doing something similar, this methodology would not work for that client's dog. Like, it could not be applied in the instance in which we would have to take them in and put them in the daycare kennels.
You mean talking about if a dog became actively aggressive towards you?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, because
Okay.
you're already in the moment.
Okay.
It's a totally different context.
All right.
So every time something is happening, you're thinking situation, context, right? They're like each moment in itself is different. Okay. So for the dog, this here outside in this world with the dog that we don't know is a very particular context, right? When you're actively handling the dog
Yeah.
that is now aggressive towards you and is saying, I will bite you and I'm gonna bite you and I'm trying to bite you, and going, hey, you're in a very different context now, because now you have a very active threat being directed to you, that it's all about de-escalation and getting the dog to chill out until we can address the situation appropriately. Okay, because right there you're not trying to think Caesar Milan,
Yeah.
Jesse, professional behaviorist who I'm gonna shut this dog down myself, right? Because you're not at that degree. Your main concern is keeping yourself safe, keeping the threat away until somebody can come in, or you can figure out like, okay, oh, there's an empty room. I'm gonna just throw the dog in the room and close the door, isolate the dog, inform everybody. Don't go in the center room because there's a dog in there that's in aggression. And then, call me or call another trainer, what have you, and then we'll address it that way. Okay, you're just handlers. Okay, so your main concern is keeping the dog safe and keeping yourself safe. Okay, so if you have an off-leash dog that's already here in your immediate space, or you see it's coming, and so when the context I just discussed right now is dog or dogs unattended by an owner. Right? So they're solo. Now, if we're working with a dog that is attended or with their owner, that approach may not work. The reason is because they're with their owner, they're either in a social state, so they're not perceiving threat and they're not giving threat. They're like, hey, right? They're in that social mode. So if you do, hey, because they're not in a threatening mode, a lot of times they don't perceive it as threat because they're just so like happy-go-lucky, right? Or because they're with their owner, even if they are being territorial, the owner empowers the dog because it gives the dog something or someone to protect. Does that make sense? So if that happens, regardless if it's off-leash dog with owner or no owner, if the dog is actively running towards you, you will always instinctively use the hey approach first, immediately as soon as you acknowledge the threat. Okay. If you see dog keeps coming, then I go, okay, that didn't work. There's no point in trying it again. Is making sure that we have control of our dog here, grabbing higher, because now we're going to have to intervene. Right. So if I have Obi and I see an off-leash dog approaching, and I want to get him, I do that approach, the hey doesn't work, I want him to be here, so I can keep Obi back like this with very little effort, right? But if I'm like this, and I'm trying to keep the dog back, look how much slack Obi now has. He's gonna interact with that dog, right? So your first instinct is, okay, I tried the threat, didn't work, let me shorten my leash here, because now I'm gonna have to confront the dog myself. So then I get Obi back, as the dog's approaching. When they get within leg distance, I can try to keep them back like this with my foot. If that doesn't work, then right away, a real firm kick. A firm intent to hurt or cause a great level of discomfort to the dog right here.
So in the chest?
In the chest, right? So if they're coming directly towards you, boom, right there, right? The dog may, but it's your job to keep him safe, right? So, boom, right? And sometimes the dogs jump back and they'll come forward again. Boom, right? You keep kicking until the dog surrenders and gives up the notion of, I want to meet you and your dog, or gives up the notion of, I'm going to confront you and your dog. Because you don't know what the intention is. The dog can be completely friendly. And the owner, maybe there is an owner, and the owner comes out like, oh, my dog's friendly, why are you kicking my dog? I'm like, because your dog shouldn't be off leash. I don't know your dog. This isn't my dog. This is a client's dog. It's my dog. My job to keep this dog safe. Okay. So and it may happen It's happened to me several times. It's happened to me at the dog park. It's happened to me walking dogs. It's happened to me working with clients. I have no problem kicking a dog multiple times to get it to back off. Okay, because it's our responsibility to keep this guy safe. Okay, so kick, they back off, and then let's say you see the dog give space after the kick, or give space after you extend your leg, right? At that point, the dog may become receptive to now forward body language. Because if you made contact with the dog, or if you've made threats of contact, now the dog's gonna be more aware. Because the dog goes, crap, you just kicked me, right? So when you start to move towards them, the dog's like, well, I don't want to get kicked again. And they're gonna now respect that forward body language. So I can keep moving forward and keep the front of my body towards the dog. And if the dog starts to come in, I'll step in again, give the friend of the kick, or maybe a sound there. Because now that you make contact with them, hey, like this, now has a different notion. Because that means if you get closer, I will kick you. Okay?
So then when a dog's gonna come, so you'd be stepping in front of the dog to be able to kick him.
Yeah, you would be like this, right? So you're keeping him back, right? And then so that you can address the threat here so that they don't interact. And you may see, like, when a dog's coming, you may have to like circle around like this because they'll try to outmaneuver you. Okay? And if you see them, and they'll try to like bum rush in. If they try to out, just step in real quick, boom. You know, and if you end up kicking them in the face, you kick them in the face. If you kick them on the ass, you kick them on the ass. If you kick them right here in this little soft spot, then it doesn't matter. It's just if they're coming at you straight on, I'll aim here. But anywhere is up for grabs because you're trying to stop a situation or prevent a situation from happening, which is potential dog fight. Okay? Questions? Okay, so we're going to stop it there, Eddie. Okay. So what we're going to do...